Hello everybody, my name is Anthnwam. Welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron for the New Order as Iberian. Let's continue on for last time off. So, we can improve worker security. Like, the question is, I mean, the interesting thing is, like, we know, we'll also throw $3 million in here. We know that we have, decrease anger, increase cost, 50 manpower. But I mean, if we got right now the prisoner or the dock workers are very happy. You know what? Let's then establish a surveillance system, which I'm sure they will not be upset about at all. You know, if we're putting a lot of prisoners from like Germany in there, or for basically whoever's giving us actually the basically slave labor for the Gibraltar Dam, it makes sense we might want to put some surveillance there, just in case, And you know what? Why not? Because we're also nice. Throw $1 million and also improve worker security. That should hopefully offset any penalty we're going to be getting from the surveillance system. I mean, at least hopefully. Right now, we're going to be looking towards Japan. I don't know how much they're going to want to talk to us, things we did kind of ignore the Calcutta government, but we'll try to open up some talks. The Lisbon train station roof collapses. Tragedy struck Lisbon today when a roof of the Cate de Sorte railway station collapsed unexpectedly. Right as one passenger train was being loaded and another unloaded. 49 people were crushed to death and another 69 injured. Cadillo says the year insisted on seeing the wreckage himself and worked with agents on the ground to help coordinate the relief effort. A preliminary investigation quickly found that multiple support platforms that had been roofed in the course of recent construction work at the station. In response to the disaster, Salazar's ordered a review of construction safety requirements to prevent such a disaster from occurring again. It has also severely disrupted transportation in Portugal's largest city and will force thousands of workers to find new routes to their workplace at least for the next few weeks. So a little bit of damage. We're going to lose a little bit of stability as well. I mean, our stability is only at 21%. Which isn't, like, good in any way, shape, or form. But that's okay. I'm sure there'll be no problem there whatsoever. Got 3 days on you. I mean, most of this text will be done, like, soon-ish. Prime Minister of Thailand has died. Do they even have a focus tree? I don't believe so. So I'm surprised they even give us any events about them. Because, like, why would I care about that? After that, let's go to South Africa. Probably want to align ourselves a little bit more with South Africa because all of this is owned by Germany. And we don't like Germany. So visiting the co-prosperity sphere. With business in India concluded, it's time for Cadillo Franco to go further east and establish Iberian's foreign policy in regards to the greater East Asian co-prosperity sphere. Since the loss of Portuguese colonies all those years ago, Iberian presence in the Far East has been limited. However, given the emerging markets that reside within, it is the imperative that we return. There is much work to be done and so little time to do it, but Franco can and will maintain and forge our diplomatic and economic ties in the Pacific. Our mutual hatred of Germany means that fostering relations with the GEACP is top priority. While there are some animosity towards the Japanese and their occupation of our former colonies and massacres of Iberian citizens in the Philippines, this is a new Iberia and we intend to show it. I mean, it's not great that you massacred my civilians in the Philippines. Let's go with... I mean, you're all way ahead of time. You know what? Let's get better resource extraction. The Empire of the Rising Sun. Franco plane lands in Tokyo, the crown jewel of Japan, and by extension, all of Asia. The city lives up to its reputation as the hustle and bustle of the army of businessmen wade through the economic hub, like the anchovies of the Mediterranean. As the Leo's car drives through the metropolis, the work ethic of the people of Tokyo is omnipresent as the sound of industry clanks throughout the city, while the scent of all sorts of foreign delicacies waver in the air. Franco got lost in the city, but alas, there was work to be done. We can talk business with the Japanese to further develop economic ties with the powerful Zaibatsus in an effort to gather more foreign investments back home, or we can meet with the Iberian community leaders in Japan and show them that our homeland has not forgotten about them. Many are priests and missionaries who came to this land in an effort to convert local populations. The religious back home would see this would also appreciate this gesture as a symbol of respect for Iberians and Catholics worldwide. You know, let's get one stability. Under the heel of the samurai, which I'm assuming means we're going to be going to China. Maybe Manchukuo, but it's gotta be China, right? Like, I don't think you have a focus tree. Do they okay, no, they do own Beijing. Can the capital still in Nanjing? Under the heel of the samurai. Franco's plane lands in Beijing, the only potential rival in size and stature of Tokyo. but there have been, there's a clearly different scent in the air. The foul scent emanated from the factories blocked the nose as much as the pollution blocked out the sight. And Tokyo is a city where dreams are made, and Beijing is where dreams went to die as the cold, hard cogs of progress grinded the population underneath them. Franco saw what Japanese occupation had done to the sullen local populace, whose faces bore no discrete emotion. Unfortunately, this journey was not for humanitarian efforts, but for business, and so business is all that shall be discussed. Talking business with the Chinese could yield many results, as the economic potential is for such a large country in terms of population and natural resources could allow Iberian firms to hold onto the coattails of China's immense metric rise. On the other hand, we could meet with China's president, Gao Zhangwu, and further establish diplomatic ties to the country that could be a powerful actor in the world stage, should the Chinese successfully throw off the chains of Japanese domination. You know what, let's meet with the president of China, because there is a chance that they might go into a good old-fashioned civil war. Well, I guess not really civil war, but you know what I mean, like an independence war. We'll kind of see how that plays out. Are we at least gaining stability? Because we're at 22% now. Seems like the answer is no. At least not at the moment. I mean, can't really change any of these laws, right? I don't believe so. Kad has been elected president of Japan, or prime minister of Japan, which is just a fascist, so nothing really has changed there. In Thailand, I'm assuming they probably also elected a fascist, or maybe, yeah, the fascists are still in power in Thailand as well. Got some more focuses. You know what, Salazar, it's time for you to visit the High Command. We'll see how this plays out. We're almost actually done our focus tree, so I'm assuming probably once it's all done, some other event will probably happen in Iberia that'll kind of lead to some new prospects. What to wear? The old man's face reflected not just the weakening capacity of the tired and overworked body, but also his inner fears. As he started to stare deeply in the mirror, looking at small imperfections, just like his paperwork, he began to brush away a small crease that he must have forgotten to iron out of his military uniform. The uniform was of the Iberian army. How could he defeat the greatest fear, militarism, as personified as the Spanish counterpart? If not by at least trying to shape into something that less threatening, if not possibly useful. However, it spoke against the entire nature persona he had so carefully crafted over the years. After all, was he not the moderate to Franco's delusion grandeur? The question now is, should he try to become a more iron-fisted dictator, at least for show, or stick with his usual statement appearance? Let's wear a uniform, because I feel like we're going to look like an idiot, and I might, they're visibly offended. Fantastic. Again, we wanted to make sure, I mean, people have been saying in the comments that having Salazar in charge is not good for us in the long term. Several generals visibly offended. The grand entrance of Salazar's new persona was about to begin. An important meeting with several key generals in the Iberian armed forces concerning new doctrines and logistics, the perfect place to practice asserting his characteristics of a man he had emulated. As grand oak doors were opened to a stiff yet resolute Portuguese cadillo, all heads turned to inspect the new entrant. The accompanied soft murmur began to eat at the now very comfortable aging statesman as he began to make his way slowly to his seat. A quick scrutiny of the bitter-looking faces of the men he was about to address told Salazar all he needed to know about the gambit that had transpired. None would speak out against him openly, but his image had now been tarnished considerably. Okay, now the military is mostly Franco-aligned. The speech begins. If there was one thing Salazar could always fall back upon, it was his eloquence and strength of public speaking. For all his amnesty towards Adolf Hitler, he still admired his ability to mesmerize and work with an audience. The seasoned Cadillo walked slowly towards the podium. All eyes in the room shifted on him, with the only sound heard kind courtesy of a din of the living city outside the steadfast walls of the palace. As he stepped up to the wooden restrum, he looked down briefly at all the collection of notes he had held in his hands. He was surprised to see them shake slightly. Age was beginning to get the worst of him. He quickly recovered again, placing both arms first across his chest, while surveying the assembly men, and then onto the podium itself. He had gained their fixation, and it was time to begin. Let's start with some vague platitudes, like, oh, you know, military, it's cool and all. On the issue of minority groups. Next topic was an uncomfortable one for him to address considering the room he was in. No matter how this would be played out, he would likely lose. He cited himself briefly, then began to tirade against the terrible terrorism that has swept the Union. The so-called freedom fighters dared to undermine such a needed stability of Iberia, not caring the slightest about the consequences on the real people living their ordinary lives. Clearly, these dastardly scum had to be expunged from the nation like the parasites they were. Yet, how was it that they've been done so effectively when most of them came from minority groups which currently still enjoyed protection of the Union? The question of how to approach this part of the speech was not an easy one for the old man. Should he push for harsher policy towards minorities in order to safeguard national security, or should he take a more moderate approach, in the process likely losing a hefty amount of political power to his more hardline Spanish counterpart? You know what? Lose more political power. The military is now fully aligned with Franco, so it looks like, because the Iberian Council is now in charge, it means that there's a 50-50 split here, which I believe is good for us. Let's now go to land down under. We'll probably get an event about going to South Africa in a moment. Visiting South Africa. For the time being, the Iberian outreach in Europe is finished, and it was time to expand our horizons and take a trip further south into the jungles of Africa. South Africa is our sole priority due to its unique position between the OFN and the Unity Pact. Salazar will have to be careful, as the country is a hotbed of tension between the ruling Anglo-aristocracy, the Boers, and a disenfranchised native population. Furthermore, the internal conflict is simplified. Who's actually here? I didn't actually see. Okay, Salazar's in South Africa. And the disenfranchised native population. Furthermore, the internal conflict is amplified by the global stage of support given by the Boers by the Reich's protectorates in the north, setting South Africa to be a potential stage for a proxy war between the Reichs and the USA. It is through this that Cadillo Salazar must use his diplomatic skill to navigate the political landscape of South Africa, whether that be by standing with the government's current position or by lobbying for its reconciliation. Well, I mean, we kind of want a stable South Africa, even though I'm sure nothing we say will have any effect there. Okay, people are going to war in Siberia. Again, who cares? Boers, natives, and the British. As part of our new foreign policy, Salazar's plane has reached Cape Town, the capital of South Africa. As the Cadillo moves throughout the city, the divisions that lie within can be seen almost immediately. The difference between the gorgeous architecture of the city hall compared to the squalor of native Africans are subject to is overwhelming. As Salazar meets with the nation's richest businessmen, most powerful politicians, and the most influential community leaders, a feeling that would not subside is that South Africa was a nation by and for Anglos, regardless of the government's position, that this is the best situation for Boers and Africans. However, Iberia seeks diplomatic reasons, and so must take a decision whether the Union will officially recognize South Africa's government, or will call for reconciliation between the three factions at odds. If we are able to recognize the government, it would grant us further ties to the OFN, and help us position ourselves with them in a Cold War. On the other hand, I mean, yeah, no, I think we want to officially support the government, because we want to, again, make more ties with the OFN. I think that's really just going to be beneficial to us in the long run. I mean, we only got like 3 focuses left. So this will probably be done by, I imagine, like September at... probably not September, maybe October. Because you got 17 days. You're 21, you're 21. So actually, yeah, no, September actually seems like a completely reasonable time for all this to be finished up. After this, we're going to go to Australia and probably New Zealand. Black market luxury trade increases. Okay. That's all I can say. Okay. Okay, so who's winning down in the south? So we have Republic of Madagascar, you. It actually looks like the Jewish movement here might actually succeed in Madagascar. But, I mean, if it's a 2-front war, 3-7, 3-5, you guys have 1 division, so I'm pretty sure you're just going to lose. There's no way in hell you're going to survive. So I guess here we are. We're probably going to go to Australia, go to New Zealand. We've already gone basically everywhere else we need to go. Everybody knows Iberia, but right now this actually doesn't do anything. So I guess we'll go for some improved relations first. A dead end. For a simple case, the paperwork seemed to tower a little too high on the inspector's desk. Neither the missing girl nor the servant had been found, an embarrassment for the WWII municipal police. Looking for a particular big pile of papers, he sighed. Grabbing it, he strode purposely to the sergeant's desk, who had accompanied him on the night of the investigation. He dropped the batch with a playful wink and continued past the seething officer towards the entirely different animal. Bracing himself, he opened the glass panel door to his superior's office. Ah, Inspector, great timing. I was just about to send my secretary. I received some rather pressing calls from the missing girl's family. Have you gone any further with the case? The overweight man sat in a far side of the room and observed the entrant with unconcealed fury. Clearly, he already knew the answer. No, sir, replied the inspector gently, or quietly. That's certainly a terrible shame. The trouble is I cannot justify such high funding for this investigation anymore if this is the case. For a moment, the inspector's vision was clouded by red mist as his body fell into a welcoming abyss of fury. How could you expect me to present any results? Do you even know how many people I have had to question and how much paperwork this case requires? You sit here making demands while I'm trying to find two missing people. The fat man's fury finally erupted as he heaved his heavy body forward in his chair. You have the audacity to stand up to your superior decision making? Who do you think you are? You owe me for your position. Go home and come back tomorrow with a different attitude. Or do not have to come here ever, or you do not have to come back here to work again. With this, he shooed the inspector out of his office and reached for a black phone, sat on the corner of his desk. I need to open a behavioral observation file on somebody. There's some stuff going on there. Down under. Salazar's plans as he landed Canberra. I mean, why would he go to Canberra? Canberra is... where even? I don't even know where Canberra is. It's the capital. Okay, apparently I don't know anything about Australia. Salazar's plan had landed Canberra, which was relatively modest compared to the other great cities Pacific, but was still of great importance. While the heat may be unbearable, we must pursue on with establishing deeper economic and diplomatic ties with the Australians as they stand as a major OFN ally in the Pacific. If we can get them on good terms, that would lead to further rapprochement with the rest of the OFN, and especially America. In our trip, we can focus on talking business with the Australians in spite of our distance between our two nations in order to develop our economic presence in the region. Alternatively, we can meet with the President of Australia, Harold Holt, to establish a clear diplomatic policy with the country. Both have their advantage. Furthering economic ties would mean, same thing usually. You know, let's just meet with the President, get a little bit more political power here. Still about 50-50. The colonial settlers love Salazar. Foreign leaders love Salazar. Silent majority is mostly with Salazar as well. But I mean, the military is fully Franco-aligned. And like, as far as I'm aware, having the military on your side usually is pretty good when it comes to maintaining your rule. You can add more money to the dam. I probably should also turn these back on. Do I need to add more money? Right now, we have no money in the project. Okay, fund a little bit. We can finish the train line. Yeah, so let's finish that train line. We'll try to get some more money thrown in here soon. Verona conference ends. Direction of the Italian Empire. Duce. Closing speech. Approve the mandate. So are they going with, no, Siano holds on. So I'm assuming... Yeah, so it looks like the fascists are keeping power in, unless they go for the Democratic Front. It'll do chase democracy. So apparently they actually might become a, oh, okay, apparently they're actually going to go Democratic. And I mean, if we go Democratic too, I mean, it's... If we both join the OFN, I feel like that'd be, you know, quite nice for us. So everybody knows Iberia. I mean, it's the last focus we actually have left in our tree, and we'll kind of see how this plays out afterwards. Anything else happening in the world? Anything like too crazy? Probably, I don't think we can ever see what Burgundy's doing. I think it just says like Gerheim or whatever it says. Don't know what they're doing. People in the old Russia are probably going to be fighting it out very soon. The Forgotten Allies. So I'm pretty sure that means you're going to be talking to... We got Norway. Open the black market. You should... Talk to me, America. Because I will be your friend. I will be your friend, okay? I think it's, you know, beneficial for the both of us. Like, here, shoot. Yeah, so we're almost done. Because I don't think there's anything past this. Everybody knows Iberia. I mean, we've gone around the world in short order. So I'm assuming there's probably going to be some other event that's going to show up now. But because we finished the focus trade, I feel like that's a pretty decent time for us to end this episode. So thanks everybody for watching. My name is Anthnwam. If you've enjoyed, remember thumbs up. Not enjoying, click thumbs down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.